Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and as befitting the colors of my clothing, I am going to fall back with an overtime. But before then, we're going to have an overview of Eastern athletics with Jose Montoya, our sports information director. We're also going to have two guys from Greyhound men's basketball, Graylin Easter and Errol White. But as always, I will start out with an Eastern recap. A tough weekend for many of the sports at Eastern New Mexico University. Greyhound volleyball, for example, on the road. They lost two matches Friday and Saturday. The Greyhound men's team lost. The Greyhound women's soccer team lost. But the Greyhound cross-country team hosted its own meet in Clovis. The Greyhound guys finished second. The Greyhound ladies finished second. Greyhound cross-country, the ladies were pretty good. Marta Pascoe finished second in particular. For Greyhound rodeo, they were competing in a meet in Clarendon, Texas, and the Greyhound ladies finished in 8th place. And the Greyhound football team, playing Simon Fraser out of British Columbia, came away with a 42-14 victory. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear the set and we'll bring in our first guest, Jose Montoya, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and we welcome back to the set of Sportslook the Sports Information Director at Eastern New Mexico University, Jose Montoya. And Jose, welcome back to Sportslook.
Thank you so much, Doc Elder. I am honored to be on the show today.
Well, I've got to ask you first, is there kind of the new car smell to the job, or are you kind of settled in comfortably into your position?
It's been quite a whirlwind for me, definitely adjusting to a new lifestyle and a new position, some place that has definitely seen a lot of great sports information directors in its past, and I'm happy to be able to be one of them now.
Sometimes you think you know what a job is going to entail, and then it proves to be exactly what you expected. Sometimes a job is a little bit different, and so was there a kind of an aha moment for you? It's like, I did not know that this would be involved.
Most definitely, there's definitely been those moments where I've seen, whoa, definitely didn't see that one coming. But there's been a lot of moments where I've been able to be well adjusted, where I've been able to be more comfortable in different positions. But it's been cool handling different athletics programs that I haven't in the past. I haven't been necessarily a primary contact for a football program, mostly a secondary or a media member at that fact.
So you led me nicely into the next question I was going to ask you, which is, so which sport were you most familiar and most comfortable with when you took over, and what's kind of been the biggest adjustment?
Right. So I've been a primary sports information director slash student contact for men's and women's soccer for 3 years now. And so I'm going into my fourth year as a soccer contact. And I've also had plenty of experience in tennis, but as we know, Eastern New Mexico doesn't sponsor tennis anymore. So the next part of that question is, where have I not been? And so definitely that volleyball side, I'm not the main volleyball contact, but the one where I am the main contact, where I haven't had experience in, is football.
And so what has been the biggest learning moment that you've had in terms of being the sports information director for football?
Right. So being a football contact in a collegiate athletic department requires 7 days for sure. Because right away from clock hits zero Saturday night, you're preparing for next Saturday. Although it's 7 days away, you're still collecting information, collecting data for the people who are going to be calling that game, people just like you.
And I do have to, and I'm not just saying it because you're across the table from me right now, but I really do appreciate you have a great eye for detail. You're of the opinion that it's better to have maybe too much information, and some things that you aren't going to be able to use than to not have enough. So kudos on being well prepared.
Well, thank you. I try to prepare anyone, whether it be the ESPN Plus broadcast that we had at Tarleton State, all the way to, say, you heading up to Oregon.
Indeed, that is where I am going to be on Saturday in beautiful Western Oregon, broadcasting a game. And from what I understand, that's going to be an interesting game because Western Oregon has a natural grass field. And I can't remember the last time that a Greyhound football team has not played on artificial turf.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a new, unique environment for the Greyhounds to be a part of, especially with the new merger with the GNAC and the LSC.
And this is the second time that they've actually played up in the Pacific Northwest. I didn't get a chance to broadcast that because I was actually tasked to broadcast something else that day. So for me, this is going to be an experience.
Well, welcome to good, beautiful Monmouth, Oregon.
Exactly. Looking forward to it. Jose, you obviously had to hit the ground running because we actually have 6 sports that are running right now and 2 sports that are just getting ready to get going. And fortunately for you, you're not a one-person operation. You've got some good help.
Yes, definitely have some great help in the sports information department. Was blessed to I'm aided with a guy named Cameron Brennan. He's the assistant sports information director, and he's been here at the university for more than a year now. And he's had experience with all of our sports that we sponsor. So basically, our conversations when I first got hired in April while I was remote, we were able to decide what sports are we most comfortable with and which sports do we see that work best between the two of us. So that's been very cool to see. And then we also have a graduate assistant in Christelle Kialanda, and she happened to play volleyball here for the Greyhounds. And so that experience helps us know, hey, you played volleyball here? That's going to be where you fit best in a lot of aspects. And she also has a special eye for graphic design. For those listening, definitely follow us on Instagram because we have Wallpaper Wednesdays and they're all created by her and they have all been A+.
And that leads me nicely into another question I was going to ask you is if people want to know more about Eastern athletics, it's not like the old days where you would just read an article in the newspaper. We still have articles in newspapers, but there are a lot more ways than you get the word out.
Right, yes. It's really cool the evolution of media and the different mediums that we express our news and how we release the different updates on Greyhound Athletics. The primary usage, as you always say, is goeasternathletics.com, but also the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram pages, and different sport programs that also have those pages as well. So we're managing probably 30 different social media accounts in our roles on top of the day-to-day tasks.
And so, what sort of a background did you have in digital media before you got the job as the SID?
Right. So I pursued a bachelor's degree in journalism and sport management at the University of Kansas, where I did a lot of stuff familiar to this side, broadcast journalism, where I focused on covering the teams at Kansas. Then I transitioned to a role at Knox College, Division III institution,
Galesburg, Illinois.
Galesburg, Illinois. Yep.
I almost went there. So that's how I know. I don't just know randomly places, so, but
Yep. Famous for the Lincoln Douglas debates.
absolutely.
And that was a great, great experience for me where I was able to maintain as the primary contact for their cross country and their men's and women's soccer programs, which definitely helped me get this position here. And then my most recent stop was at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I was a contact for men's basketball and men's soccer and women's lightweight rowing.
I don't think that's ever going to be a sport at Eastern New Mexico, but it's good to know if we get it, you've got it covered.
Absolutely.
So it's been an eventful year with all 6 sports really having their moment to shine. And if you had to look at it, and this may be an impossible question to answer, but if you had to say there was really the most bright and shining moment, what has really been the best Eastern sports moment so far this fall?
That's a great question. And I'm not going to go to a particular game, but I'm going to go to a particular week. And the week when the Greyhound student athletes arrived on campus.
It is always good to have student athletes back on campus. And just, I think that that's one thing that makes Eastern special is the intersection of academics and athletics. So I see you.
Of course. Love that part of the higher education environment as well.
I might point to one particular day. There was a Wednesday a couple of weeks ago where on the road, Greyhound women's soccer won, I believe it was against Oklahoma Christian. Greyhound volleyball had a home match and they won. And Greyhound men's soccer, playing their first home match in 3 years, beat a nationally ranked team, Midwestern State. And that's a pretty good day.
That was a definitely a highlight moment when we think of ENMU athletics in this fall. Arguably the best performances from a trio of teams. To think of a women's soccer program who's seen a lot of struggle moments in the past years, finally overcome, and honestly, they're doing really well within the LSC standings and being led by a first-year head coach, Eric Belcher. Definitely seeing a lot of highlight moments for those girls.
And we will point out there are ways that you can interact with Eastern athletics. The best way is to come out and watch events in person. And if you want to buy tickets to great, yeah, I mean, you can get day of, but if you want to make sure you're going to get a seat, there's a gentleman at Eastern that's the person to talk to for season tickets looking forward to basketball.
For sure, yes. Right now, season tickets are on sale for NMU men's and women's basketball. We have great rates right now. You can get them for as low as $60. Could you imagine going to a game pretty much $2.14 a piece? That's pretty good still right there.
Nowhere else. Yeah.
Yep. GoEasternAthletics.com/tickets is where we're selling them, and we prefer digital tickets as fans will be needing those QR codes.
And we will also point out that we do video stream home athletic contests so that if people can't come out and watch in person, they can at least watch through their medium.
Absolutely. If you're a basketball fan, you definitely are no stranger to Doc Elder's voices. He gets to follow ENMU men's and women's basketball all season long, but all of our sporting events, whether it's soccer, basketball, football, y todo, they're going to be covered on the Lone Star Digital Network. And we're definitely gracious to be a part of that subscription service and encourage fans, say, whether you're in Alaska, Hawaii, Cuba, or Japan, wherever, you can listen in on the Lone Star Conference Digital Network.
And so if people do want to find out more about that, go to the LSC website.
Yes. So you can go on that website. You can go on goeasternathletics.com, and under our schedule pages for each sport, you'll see a watch button, and you can just simply click that, and that'll take you to that game.
Well, Jose, it's been a pleasure. You've hit the ground running. And like I said, I'm not just saying it to be nice. I really appreciate what you do. And I would inform people if they haven't picked it up earlier, go Eastern Athletics. That's the first place to start.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Doc.
Well, that is going to wrap up the first interview segment of Sportslook. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear the set and we'll bring in two members of the Greyhound men's basketball team right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and we bring to the set of Sportslook for the very first time two guys from Greyhound basketball. We've got Graylin Easter, we've got Errol White, and guys, welcome to Sportslook.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Graylin, we'll start out with you. Where are you from, and what was the process that got you onto the team here at Eastern?
I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, and the process that got me on the team here at Eastern was really just being able to come down to campus and see how things worked in Port Alice, and also with the coaching staff, and be able to have a close relationship with Coach Vo and developing that same relationship with Coach Owen.
And this was not your first school right out of high school?
No, out of high school, I went to Lamar University, and then I went to junior college at Butler Community College, and now I just transferred this year from Cal State Bakersfield.
Very good. So hopefully this is a good end game scenario for you.
Yes, sir, for sure. That's what we're looking for.
All right. Well, Errol, we'll ask you the same question. Where are you from and what got you here to Portales, New Mexico?
Well, I'm from Queens, New York, and the process was really simple. Coach Vo, he kind of he hit me up and we got to talking, and I really thought about it because the position I was in, I kind of didn't want to go back to my last school. I didn't really like the environment, like the coaching environment. So coming here, it was really just getting on a Zoom call with Coach Owen and Coach Vo, and just having that, that talk with them and seeing what they were about. that made me just, feel like this was the best option for me.
Very good. Graylin, was basketball the only sport growing up, or did you play other sports and just gradually concentrate on basketball?
Basketball always been the main sport for me, ever since I was like 5. But I did once I got to like 3rd grade, I played football for like a couple of games, but I ain't even finished the season though. So I knew that it was just basketball for me.
Very good. Errol, same question for you. Was basketball always the only sport, or were there others along the way?
Actually, no, I started off playing football and I ran track, but what made me choose basketball over football and track was really just like I started off like not like terrible at it, if I'm being honest, and I just put a lot of work into it. So it just like I had to see it through and it paid off, thankfully.
Very good. Graylin, who were the influences on you to help you become the basketball player that you are? Who were the influences that helped you become the young man that you are?
The biggest influence for me, as far as basketball, I would probably say is my big brother because he 4 years older than me, and so I feel like if he didn't take up basketball, then I wouldn't have wanted to take up basketball that strong. And then he was always really good ever since he was in like elementary or whatever. So just watching him and seeing all the love he got from everybody, just being good at basketball made me want to be that same way coming up in Little Rock.
And
So
how about you as a person?
me as a person, I probably say my parents for sure, my mom and my dad. They always staying on me, making sure I'm holding myself accountable at the end of the day. And also, I'll say my high school coach, Coach Cooper, he held me accountable all the time too. So, and that kind of just translated as I got to college and go on with my life.
And Errol asked the same question. Who helped you become the basketball player you are, and who helped you become the young man that you are?
Well, the people that really helped me become the basketball player that I am, I would like to say that was like my mom, because he always used to take me to the park and put up a lot of shots. So that was really like I miss those moments with her. And then it was also like my high school coach, Ron Leclerc. He kind of believed in me at a time where a lot of people really didn't, and they couldn't see like I guess the future in me in basketball. And he just stuck with me, and I'll forever remember him for that.
Well, Graylin, obviously you could have gone a lot of different places. You chose Eastern New Mexico University. What was the selling point? What was the major factor that convinced you this was where you wanted to play basketball?
So I have played basketball a couple of different places, and one of the things that stood out to me from each school I was at was how different the coaches are and how they all have different agendas. So I already knew Coach Vo because at my junior college he was coaching there. So it was really like easy for me because I needed to go somewhere where I know I can trust the coaches and I know the coaches trust in me and I know Coach Vo and I know Coach Owen and they go have good people around them and they got the best interests at the end of the day. So I feel like in that aspect it was a no brainer for me.
Very good. And Errol, I'll ask you the same question. What was the real selling point that got you here as opposed to some other school you could have transferred to?
To add on to what Graylin said, it was really was that Zoom call with Coach Vo and Coach Owen. Just like sitting down, talking with them, and just seeing them for the genuine people that they really are, and seeing that they had my genuine best interests at heart. So that kind of made it very easy for me.
Well, gentlemen, obviously last year was a struggle for Greyhound men's basketball because we didn't have a season the year before, so we had taken a year off. We only got 3 wins in conference play last year, but I've seen you guys practice. I think it's going to be a different year this year.
Oh yeah, we definitely
For sure.
looking to have a turnaround this year. We got a bunch of hungry guys that's the one common thing between all of us that none of us like to lose. And I feel like just that itself is going to help us have a turnaround this year, along with good coaching and game plans.
And Errol, what would you add? What do you think is going to be the big difference between last year and this year?
Basically, our mentality as a team, like we all hate losing, we all want to win, and we got a lot of guys that just want to sit down and just play defense. Just like get stops, just affect the game in many ways with energy. There's a lot of energy guys too. That's
So, Graylin, how much did you know about the Lone Star Conference before you got here, and what do you know about the Lone Star Conference now?
Before I got here, I just knew of the Lone Star Conference. I didn't know too much about it. But now that I'm here, I'm knowing that this is one of the best Division II conferences out here. Some of the best, highest competition as far as basketball. And I'm just excited to get out there to see where we are against the other teams in the Lone Star.
And Errol, I'll ask you the same question. What did you know about the Lone Star Conference?
I didn't really know too much. My teammate last year at Angelina, he played in this conference, and he told me it was a tough conference, and that's really what I was looking for, just like a challenge, to see how good I am playing against some of the best players in the D2 conference.
Well, guys, we at Eastern New Mexico University, we had midterms about a week ago. And so if you were a professor and you were grading Greyhound basketball, Graylin, what aspect, rebounding, passing, shooting, defense, what aspect of the game do you think is grading out the highest right now?
Uh, I'd probably say defense off top. That's probably where we best at. The pressure on the ball, the help defense, being able to have each other back. I just feel like we the best at that area.
And Professor Errol, what grade would you assign?
I like to say our rebounding as well, because we have a lot of guys that just want rebounding, especially our guards. So that makes us like a very, very tough team.
And that's something that the casual fan might not realize about the game of basketball is that most rebounds are taken below rim level. So
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
position and wanting to get the board. So if you got guys,
It's effort.
yep, exactly. Uh, you are obviously athletes here at Eastern New Mexico University, but you're student athletes, and
Right.
let's switch it over to academics. Braylon, what are you majoring in, and what do you hope to do with your life?
Right now, I'm majoring in. I'm starting my master's in sports administration, and with that, I'm planning to. Well, I want to be an athletic director, either at my high school, my old high school, or either I want to go back and be the head coach there.
Excellent. Well, I had two sons that both went to school here at Eastern. One of them got a master's in sports administration, so
Okay.
you're on good ground in
Okay.
that regard. Errol, we'll ask you, what are you majoring in, and what do you hope to do?
I'm majoring in broadcasting communication. So I don't know really where I want to branch off into it. There's like a lot of things I want to do, like the practicum class that I have. Like it's just amazing. So it's all very new to me. So I'm just trying to take it all in and just.
I was going to say someday you could be on this side of the desk. You could be doing this show. You'd be way better at it than I am. Well,
hope
guys,
so.
one reason we wanted to have you on this week is because you're actually opening up the season against a Division I school. You're going to be playing against Grand Canyon University on October 28th in Phoenix. And you're probably just more taking care of your own business, but have you started to talk about GCU yet?
No.
Nah, they haven't. Well, amongst the team, amongst ourselves, there's been a lot of talk about it. But like, as far as practice and stuff, we haven't been talking about them. We just been trying to get better as a team every day and worry about us.
Yeah. Because like at the end of the day, we're the D2, D1. They put on the same suits. It's just like us. So we're just ready to compete.
Exactly. So that is an exhibition game, and then you guys actually technically have your first game that's going to count in the one-loss column on November 11th and November 12th when you go up to Las Vegas, not the glitzy one with all the fancy, but the New Mexico version of Las Vegas, and you're going to play two crossover games against teams from Rocky Mountain. So do you guys know off the top of your head, is your first game going to be the game with all the kids on November 17th, or is there a game in between when you're going to be playing? Or are you just playing it
Uh,
one day at a time?
We're just trying
yeah,
to take it one day
I'm
at a
not
time.
sure. We're just taking it one day at a time. Worried about the team that's in front of us at the moment.
Well, that's a good way to approach life. Well,
Yeah.
well, gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you here. Obviously, everybody was disappointed last year, and just I sensed the energy from you two guys. we're going to win more than 3 games in conference play.
For
Yes,
sure.
sir,
I
for
can
sure.
guarantee you that right now on this
Yeah.
show.
All right, you heard it here first.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of Sportslook, so we'll clear the set, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. I promised you a fall-related overtime, and I shall deliver. Right now, we are getting ready for the Fall Classic, which is what we always called the World Series. Here's a little did you know. Did you know the earliest day that a World Series game ever took place on was September 5th, 1918? It started that early because a little something called World War I was going on at the time, and so because of travel restrictions, the last month of the season was postponed, and they moved the World Series up to September 5th. The latest day that a World Series game has ever taken place, that'd be November 4th. That happened in 2001, that happened in 2009, and I'll let you in a little secret. If both the division playoffs and the World Series go a full 7 games, we'll have a new record set here in 2022. Well, that will finish up in overtime, and that will finish up an episode of Sportslook. I'd like to thank my guests, Jose Montoya and Graylin Easter and Errol White. I'd like to thank my floor crew. Once again, I had Mr. Dennis as my director. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Hilder saying, so long.